Pod. I'm your host, Justin Wright. Today, we are here with a living legend, the homicidal, genocidal, death-defying Sabu. How are you doing
Sorry,
today,
you
man?
caught me at a bad time. I'm getting ready to do my pre-workout.
Hey, any time to have you on the show is a good time. I don't care what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you.
um, we'll start it off. I always start off a podcast with the general. How did you get into wrestling? So how'd you find the sport, Sabu?
My uncle was a pro wrestler. His name is Sheik. And
Okay.
I watched him my whole life. It wasn't like one day I wanted to be a wrestler. It was my whole life I wanted to be a wrestler. Be, be, my earliest rememberings was I wanted to be a wrestler. I always knew it was for me because, well, it was so close to me. Anyways,
So like back then, whenever your uncle being the sheik back then, wrestling was more hidden. What was it like
yeah.
growing up when that, like what was it like growing up in kayfabe?
Hold on 1 second. I got to grab him later. Hold on.
You're
Okay, I'm back. Okay, what was that again now? I'm sorry.
so like what was it like growing up in the sport with kayfabe still alive and stuff like that?
Well, I didn't grow up in the sport. I grew up watching it. My uncle kayfabed us. Kayfabed me till I was 19 years old. Then when I wanted to be a wrestler, then he clued me in. Before that, when I'd go to his house on Sundays, my family when I was younger, they'd have he'd have dinner at his house after the show or before the show in Koboha or lunch, and one room was heels, the other room was baby faces.
Okay.
But I didn't know the
Oh.
difference. I just thought it was coincidence. All the bad guys were sitting at the same table, and all the good guys were sitting at the same table. Well, like I
um,
said, my uncle didn't say wrestling's a work. He said stay away from those guys; they might hurt you, and stuff like that.
my grandfather, one of his favorite wrestlers was the Sheik. Um,
Oh yeah,
So growing up, I heard about him a lot. Him and Brody were probably two of the guys that my grandfather told me about a lot growing up. What was it? What was like your like start training wise? Like what did that look like?
for me training wise.
Yeah.
The story goes, when I was 19 years old, I was at my friend's party and I got shot in the face. Not the story goes, the life went. I got shot in the face. And then while I was in the hospital, all my life up until that point, I kept saying, I'm going to be a wrestler. I'm going to be a wrestler. And then when I was in the hospital, I said, I got to be a wrestler now. So after I got out of the hospital, I visited my uncle. And he said, yeah, okay, I'll train you. But come out and live with me. So I did. But he goes, whatever I tell you to do, you can't question it. If you question me, I'm going to kick you out the door. So whatever I tell you, he'll never steer me wrong, he said. So whatever I say to do it and just believe that it's for the good. And so he had me set the ring up for 7 months, tear it up, put it up in the morning, tear it down at night, and never let me train in it. Not for 7 months. And I never asked why. And he never said why. He just said, do what I said. So I did. And then after about 7 months, he let me train in it. But still to this day, I don't know why he had me do that, other than he wanted me to earn to learn. You know, it wasn't
Yeah.
discouraging. I had to pay my dues in order to pay my dues.
Um, you
So,
started
then
probably.
after we
Sorry.
started training, he'd always make me go over the basics every time I trained with him, and without question, even though I had him down, I still had to practice him every time I worked out.
Okay.
And he was rough. He didn't take it easy on me, and I'm glad for that now. At the time, I was thinking like, "Fuck, take it easy on me," but he didn't.
A lot of people's first time seeing you might have been on ECW. What was it like at the starting stages before it was even known as Extreme Championship Wrestling? What was that like?
You know, before the Eastern Championship Wrestling, and before I got there, it was bad wrestling. It was an old Jimmy Snuka, and these guys weren't really trained or been anywhere, but they were friends of the owner. Not
Okay.
well. So they really, when I got there, those guys they were terrible. And how they got over was they were still terrible after I got there. They start copying me, stealing the table, doing the table and shit like that, and chairs and waiting. But before that, they were trying to be a regular WWE, WWF type uh, company.
Hmm.
And when I came in and did my thing, they let me break the rules. They didn't say go out and break the rules. They just go do your thing, and that was breaking the rules, which eventually became what people wanted me to do. I got cheered for breaking the rules, so it wasn't breaking the rules no more. It was extreme, you know.
Yeah. Um,
But those guys described it. It was bad. I didn't want to be there. It was bad. It was easy to stick out my first match there because everybody else was the shit. I'm talking to everybody. I'm not gonna mention no names, but and I'm sorry if I hurt somebody's feelings, but that's the truth, you know.
you mean just like they were not trained, not polished?
Not trained properly, and uh, they had gimmicks and shit. What they weren't ready for. They had no idea what they're doing. You know, and they were bad wrestlers. You know, bad wrestlers don't make good wrestlers. You got to have good wrestlers, good training. They weren't. They became better as they became extreme because you hired different people. All the original Eastern Championship guys. There's only 2 or 3 of them left. Sandman, Jason Knight, and I can't think of anybody else. Everybody else is gone because they were, they weren't wrestlers really. They were part-time bouncers and wrestlers.
Did you ever get to work with Snuka?
No, yeah, one time, and he was one of my idols. Not the way he wrestled, but only the jump and his body, the way he looked. Anything else, that's nah. I don't want to wrestle like him. He sucks. He's not sucks, slow. Not my style. What I want. But everybody thought I was trying to imitate him. Not really resemble him in look, but I could never achieve that. But I could try and resemble him in wrestling. I don't want to. I thought he wasn't that. I wasn't. I didn't admire his wrestling. I admired his jump. You know what I'm talking about in the cage, or a splash. Where you want to say I admired that and his look.
Um, is there any inspiration from your
Because
style and maybe?
to me, he wasn't really a super fly. He didn't fly that much.
No, he just did the splash.
Yeah, and coming off the cage, you don't fly. You come down. You don't jump. He didn't jump. But anyways,
your style, your look, is that something you got from Japanese wrestling at all?
Yes and no. I developed it in Japan. Developed it.
Okay.
I didn't get it from nobody there. How it really went was my first 5 years in wrestling. I was called Terry Nobody, and I wrestled like a first match guy, not a main event guy. I didn't bleed and break tables. A first match guy stays in the ring for 10 minutes and maybe goes to top rope once. Maybe no fighting outside the ring, no breaking the rules. A square. Scientific match, no more than that. Very boring. But I did that for 5 years, so I honed that particular skill very good. Besides other skills behind the scenes, but I had those skills to advance to step 2. You had to have those skills good. And a lot of guys didn't do that. They skipped that part. But anyways, then after about 5 years, my uncle named me Sabu, and I didn't know what that meant or nothing. And I was still a first match guy type wrestler, but a little more advanced. I was the top rope a little more, but not out of the ring. And then when I went to Japan, I was, like I said, I was a normal guy. My uncle got booked in Japan for a tag team tournament, and they said, you can bring anybody. He was, I'll bring my nephew. So we don't care. He's just going to do the jobs. He's just going to lose every night, so it don't matter. So he goes, I'll bring him. So right before we go out on my very first match in Japan, it was like 5,000 people somewhere in Osaka or something, in Tokyo. And right before we go out, I go, what do you want me to do tonight? First match bullshit I've been doing for 7 years. He goes, no. He goes, I want you to do what you're doing in the backyard, his backyard, when you think I wasn't watching. So when while he was training me, I trained the way he said. When he turned his back, I started doing crazy stuff. I had a mattress out there from a tackling dummy, and I had Rob. So we practiced stuff. Then when he came back out, we stopped and started wrestling the way he said. And then when he turned his back again, we started doing shit. So he goes, before we go out, he goes, do that shit where you think I'm not watching you. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you know what I mean? I go, okay, yeah. So I did. I started out a little bit the first match without telling anybody. I couldn't say, like, here's how you do it or stand here. It was tough. But anyways, I did it, and people went crazy. The first night in Japan, and after that, I made a living. I didn't make a living for 7 years. I made $100 with my highest I got paid until that point, and that was that for 7 years. And then when I did that, I made a living.
Gosh,
like I said, it wasn't someone opened doors for me anywhere. I didn't get lucky. I worked for it. I worked for it.
Paid your dues.
It was lucky it happened sooner.
Yeah. You're,
It happened right
you know,
because when they handed me to go do it, at the next match, I go to the boss. I go, "What do you want me to do?" He goes, "Sabu style." I go, "What is Sabu style? There is no style." So I said, "All right, I'll do another crazy thing, but I'll clue this guy in." And I did, and boom, they went crazy again. Every match, they went crazy. What I did every night for years. It was
I
awesome.
agree. I've been in some of
So
the buildings where you've torn it
that's where I
down, man.
developed the style. I'm sorry. That's where I developed when I run to ECW. What I did there as I went along.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry to cut you off. But go ahead.
you're good. I want to ask about Taz. Like, Taz is probably one of the guys you were most synonymous with. What does that rivalry and feud mean to your career overall?
I like wrestling him. I know it didn't look like we did, but I like wrestling him because after I pissed him off, he came the right kind of competitor. Trying to be better than me instead of trying to step in front of me.
Was each one of those matches like trying to top the last one?
No, no, no. Each one was supposed to add to the last one.
Okay.
Part two, part three, part four. It's our journey in ECW. I call it journey because they go like, "How do you describe your wrestling career?" I said, "Well, I had a 30-year journey, and it's not quite over yet. The wrestling part might be, but the journey is."
Yeah. Another guy in ECW that you were always linked to was Bill Alfonso and Rob Van Dam. What did that tag team mean for the
And Super G.
trajectory?
Yeah, yeah,
I
good.
always forget about Super Genie, and I apologize.
Well, I'll bring it up here in a minute.
What do they mean to like, your career, and what did that time period mean to you, either personally or professionally?
It was cool because I trained Van Dam. Uh, Fonzie's first match was with my uncle. He wrestled my uncle against Terry Funk. Terry Funk and the Sheik was Fonzie's very first match he refereed. And then Van Dam, I trained, brought him in, so we ended up getting together. And so I thought it was a perfect fit.
Yeah.
Uh, it was reincarnated history, kind of. I'm the Sheik.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about Super Genie and,
Yeah, she was a bodybuilder. Took ninth in Miss Olympia. She was my valet, and she died a couple years ago, but she was awesome. Uh, I don't know what to say other than that.
fair enough. Something else I
Have you
thought
ever
would
seen
be,
her? Did you ever heard of her, Melissa Coates?
yes, I have. It's
And she was
like
with
I
all
said,
the
no,
girls. When the Diva period came around, uh, Diva era, they were
yeah,
all trying to be like her. And so when she was coming up during that time, all those girls were stepping in front of her, like sucking dicks and fucking shit, and she wouldn't do it. So they kind of pushed her down, kind of.
I think I've
During the
heard
Diva
you.
era, all those girls wanted to look like her because she was a bodybuilder, beautiful bodybuilder.
I think I've heard you talk about that on other shoot interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't say it quite like that. I was a little nicer, but yeah, those girls did shit she wouldn't do, so they got the push. They got the
Fair.
recommendation. And back
I'm
then,
I'm
there was only a couple girls in the business, so everyone was competitive. Every single position, someone was sucking a dick for us, or something gross.
want to talk about is you got to, I don't want to say debut, but you got to make an appearance on Raw back in, what was it, 95. Did you
Yeah,
guys have any instructions going into that, or did you just go in there and
no,
put
not
it
really.
down?
I was stupid. I was hard headed because I was still trying to keep up to kayfabe, and they were saying, "Go out and rehearse what you're going to do." I go, "Nah, I got it," but I really should have not rehearsed it, but walk through it at least. Because when I got up and I said, "Hey, I got Bubba and Devon Dudley to stand behind the R," you talking about that time when I jumped up the R?
Yep.
Okay, I had to stand behind the big R with a ladder. So I thought when no one was looking, I climbed up it. Oh, okay, I could do it. Come back down. But I didn't research it good enough. So when it came time to do it, I ran up there, and the thing was all wobbly. So when I stepped out to jump off, it slipped under me, and I just went straight down. I didn't dive on the guys, and so I did a belly smacker on the floor and knocked the wind out of me, and that fucked up everything else. I still did what I did, but at the time I didn't think so because I was hurting so bad that I fucked it up. But it just looked the dive. when I did it, you couldn't tell if I missed the guys or not. They fell down anyways, you know. But if the camera was
Yeah.
closer, you could see that my arm only hit one guy, and five guys fell down behind them. I missed them, you know. But they fell down, and like from the people what they seen, uh, the, the the people were standing up. So when I went down, you could see what I hit, you know, that I missed. But yeah, that was a little
Oh,
embarrassing. I did that. I still had to get up and do a spot, you know.
yeah. Um, Another big match in your ECW career was the no rope barbed wire match with Terry Funk. That's one match I've watched hundreds of times. You want to tell us a little bit about that match and
No,
working with Terry?
I don't want to talk about that match.
No.
No, if you got a question, I'll answer, but there's nowhere to start, you know, for me.
Um, I think specifically, coming to mind, one thing. What was going through your mind whenever you hit the rope and split your arm wide open?
I was thinking, fuck, I fucked up. We're gonna have to finish the match, call the match, because how am I gonna wrestle like that? You know, and, and then as I settled in, I go, fuck, I could probably fix it. You know? And
Okay.
when it first happened, it was like I thought my arm got cut off. Same, it didn't really hurt right away, but it had the noise. I heard the noise of like when you hear a sword sing. You know what I mean? It had like a sing to it, and when I first seen it, it didn't bleed at all. It was right, boom. You could see right through my bicep was curling up in half, not in half, in about a quarter, and right down to I could see a blue vein, and then I started squirting on my armpit a little bit, and it really wasn't bleed. So after I settled down, because I started getting dizzy, I said, well, I could probably tape it, you know, and then I taped it and it worked.
Okay.
But
At the
when it first happened, I go, fuck, I just got my arm up. I can't work. I can't wrestle. That's a no big expects you to wrestle with one arm or one arm missing.
was you was
But then I go, fuck, my arm ain't off. I gotta fix it. And then cut it off.
was that like the tape? Was that your idea, or was somebody
Yeah.
told you?
My idea, tourniquet, brother. Stop the bleeding. I
Gotcha.
taped it over here to cut off the circulation. And then once I did, I stood up and I still was dizzy. But then it came back to me. You know, it came back. If I would have squirted blood, got up and been dizzy, I would have probably back up. You know, but
Yeah.
I stopped squirting the blood. I stopped losing blood. You know, it probably bled under there a little, but it didn't. It didn't affect me anymore. Yeah, but I kept taking it up even later on till my arm went numb, just to make sure there was no blood going there.
Okay.
And
Um.
they said they go that could have damaged your limb. I go fuck if I didn't tape it, it would have killed me. I would have died. Yeah, and I'll lose an arm over dying. Don't want to, but I would. But I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking if I stopped, I'm dizzy because of this. If I stop that, I won't be dizzy. And then it worked. You know, I didn't think what's going on. I'm lightheaded because I'm losing a ton of blood. You know? That was
Yeah.
losing that much, but still, you know, enough to scare me a little bit, enough to ask for tape. And then
Um.
after the match, I was so hard headed. I go, I'll just, everybody wanted to look at it. I go, no, stop. I'll look at it tomorrow morning. I go, I don't want to look at it yet. And finally I did. Then I go, like, you know, I can glue it up. I tried to glue it up a little bit of it, but I couldn't hold it. I couldn't do it. It was ridiculous.
Did you end up going to the
It was
hospital
ridiculous.
afterwards?
But what?
Did you end up
But
going to the hospital?
no. The
No.
guy sewed me up in the dressing room. Uh, yeah, I know. But it happened to be Raven's friend was a doctor.
Okay.
I swear, Raven's friend was a doctor, and uh, I think he was a foot doctor, and he sewed my arm up. Yeah, I heard him do an interview. He goes, "I sewed Sabu up with some thread I wouldn't sew my cat up with because he has like some thread in his pocket in his bag or something, you know, to do stitches. He put like 75 stitches in there." So I said, "Yeah, he put
Wow.
150." I doubled it because it felt like a double. But 25 of them came out in the first couple of days because he didn't time too tight. You
Okay.
know? But that was funny. I didn't go to the hospital, but Raven's friend was a doctor. Can you believe that? That's
Raven's friend, the foot doctor, sewed you up.
yeah. But he happened to be with me, and he fixed me. But he fixed me. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Look, if I would have went to the hospital, that'd have been probably $2,000 surgery there, and ECW wouldn't have paid for it. I broke my
Now,
neck, didn't pay for it. No, they didn't pay for it, and
Ted,
I kept wrestling for it.
it was Benoit that the Benoit match where you broke your neck, correct?
Yeah,
Did
and
you
I bounced off the mat on top of my head, and they go, "Oh, we'll take care of it." And I got bills every week for it, every month. $700 ambulance ride, $2,000 emergency room, and like every month they said, "I said, what about these?" They go, just ignore them." I said, "All right." I ignored them because I didn't have insurance either. I didn't really care. But I could have held them to it. They owed me that. They owed me that. And I go, nah, forget the red tape about it. I was fucking threw the bills away. And I did. Finally, they stopped coming. But still, it looked bad.
did you know
Anyway,
like as soon as you hit the mat that your neck was broke?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It popped like a fire, like a dynamite. I would say firecracker was louder than that.
Would
Yeah.
you say that's your worst injury in your career is probably the broken neck?
Yeah, that and the scariest, because when I tried to get up, I rolled right out right away. I didn't even try to get up. I knew I was done. But when I went out on the floor, my lower body hit first, so I landed on my feet and I couldn't stay up. And I go, fuck, I can't do this. I can't get up. And then Paul goes, can you get up? I go, I don't know. I go, I'm trying. He goes, you're not getting up. And I wasn't getting up. Now, I probably could have got up a few seconds later, but that kind of trauma was, you don't fuck with.
Yeah.
And that wasn't my brain. That was my neck. It wasn't like I was half knocked out. No, I was all there, and I couldn't. My lightning bolts were shooting through my arms, my left arm, right arm, was shooting like lightning bolts through it, and and then I just couldn't get up. I mean, I couldn't get up, with confidence. I could not stay up.
Okay.
I knew I was damaged. It wasn't like being knocked out. Knocked out, saying, "Give me a second, give me a second." It wasn't like, "Give me a second." I knew it wasn't coming back, but it did. It felt like it wasn't gonna. It came back in about a minute, I guess, but that minute seemed long, way longer. And then I kept going every now and then, it hit me. And then I wasn't going to go to the hospital. They forced me to go to the hospital. They checked it out. They said, yeah, you got two vertebrae cracked. These two with each other, they crushed each other. But then they crushed it all the way. It was cracked. And this is hold on, we're gonna set you for a halo and set up a surgery. I go, all right. And they left the room. And my referee to get me off the bed. He helped me off the bed and we left to cab back home. And then I wrestled 2 weeks later, but not for ECW. I wrestled 2 weeks later in Japan for 5 weeks straight with a
With a
fucking
broken
broken
neck.
neck. Yeah,
That's insane.
I don't
Um,
recommend it. But at the time, I was still getting hot. And I didn't want to. I didn't want to take that time off. Bad timing.
yeah. Uh,
And
I, I I can tell you like my first exposure to you was in IWA East Coast. Me and my dad used to go there all the time, and the first match I saw you in was against Too Tough Tony, and you jumped off the basketball hoop
hold on
onto
1 second.
Tony.
Cut 1 second, okay? Hold on.
Yeah,
I had to blow my nose. I didn't want you to think I'm nose
you're
drug.
good.
Okay.
But like I was saying, my first exposure to you was in IWA East Coast. You was facing Too Tough Tony in a tables match. I remember you jumping off the basketball hoop, and I thought it was the most insane thing ever. Um, I I just wanted to say that night I was afforded to give you gave me a signed autograph of a part of the table that you put Tony through, and I'll forever appreciate that. I no longer have it due to circumstances, but this is my thank you. I'm glad I get to finally thank you as an adult
Thank
20
you.
years later.
Right. I mean, what city was that in? Louisville?
It was in either South Charleston, West Virginia, or Dunbar. I
Oh, okay.
can't remember. I was
Right on.
like I said, 4 or 5 years old.
I think that was for Pondo, right?
Yep, Pondo.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on, man.
Um, moving on. a little bit later in your career, you got to do some stuff in the WWE and WWE ECW. You were on WrestleMania. Was that ever a goal for you?
Um, not starting now. After WrestleMania got so big, and it's already been, it's already obvious. It's obvious. Vince McMahon's way was the way of wrestling now. So I go
Hmm.
fucking match together, and so yeah, I want to be WrestleMania. But when I got there, it wasn't shit. It wasn't what I wanted. Yeah, I was disappointed. Not because of the event, my match. It should have been me and Van Dam versus two guys, or me and Van Dam, me versus Van Dam. That
Agreed.
would have been WrestleMania for me. Uh, Anything less, nah. And it was less. 8-man fucking tag and share a fat ass Dreamer. I'd never. If I had to pick guys, I wouldn't pick Dreamer. Looking for a WrestleMania match, so I had no choice in being selected or picking, and so that wasn't WrestleMania to me. That was just a big show, good payoff.
What you know, another big moment from your WWE run was that match against Cena
But
on.
my
Sorry.
biggest WrestleMania match could be my next one.
Okay.
My final match. Since McMahon's are going to be out, and hopefully Triple H out. I don't know. I have a better chance of coming back to WWE in a positive thing because Paul Heyman's in charge or close to in charge. That could be a
You
possibility.
you and Van Dam reunion.
But don't say nothing. I don't expect it, and there's nothing in writing. But uh, that's a possibility. More of a possibility is my last match with AEW. But since the McMahon's are out, I might be able to do my last match at WrestleMania. It's a possibility. So
That'd be
it'd be
great.
good for them. You know?
Um, I did want to ask about the match on Raw against Cena. You know, Cena was young, up and coming.
Don't misquote me. Don't misquote me. Don't make me look stupid.
I won't. Of course not. But like, I wanted to ask you about the triple jump moonsault outside onto Cena. That was probably a big moment for not only him, but for you coming to WWE like to make that statement. What was that
Yeah,
like?
Jim was cool. He was real cool, man. You know what you're saying?
Yeah,
Would you have to? Yeah,
like what
how's
was it like working with Cena and doing that spot on Raw, trying to
yeah,
make a statement
he
for
was
ECW?
yeah, he was cool, man. He was very cooperative and respectful. And he didn't tell me, but his dad told me that he watched one of my matches when he was a kid in live in Worcester, Massachusetts, or something like that. It was his dad, and then I broke my jaw that day, and it was pretty bad. And he said that he was traumatized. He didn't want to be a wrestler after that, but he changed his mind, obviously. But he didn't tell me that his dad did. Yeah.
That's cool.
His dad's a manager. You ever see it? His dad does he manages out in the north, like Boston area, New
Yeah, I've
England
seen
area.
that.
Okay.
John Cena Senior.
Yeah. I
Yep.
had dinner with him one time at this Chinese place. It was great. He was funny as shit. You wouldn't know that he's John Cena's dad. Think like John Cena was like, Dad, don't do that. Because he acts pretty goofy when he works. What he
That's
does.
funny.
He's
Um,
clearly no good. He's no good. But he's funny. He's so bad that he's funny.
okay.
He doesn't know he's bad.
Most people don't, especially like they think
Even
there's
when
a
they
lot of
watch a
guys that
video
think
of
they're the
them,
best.
how can you not, when you watch a video and say, I don't know who these guys are, and then you're the shitty one and you don't even know it. That's how Sandman was. This guy, Rene Dupree, he wrestled Sandman. He had a bad match. And I go, what's
Mhm.
wrong, man? He goes, I had a bad match with Sandman. I said, yeah, so what? Everybody does. He goes, no, you and Rob don't. I go, I know, but everybody else looks, they know how to wrestle. I don't expect anybody to have a good match with him. But me and Rob have good matches with him because we know how to wrestle. He's drunk.
Yeah. What's it like trying to work a match with somebody who's intoxicated? Is it more
Oh,
difficult?
it's difficult. It's difficult. But with Sandman, it's okay because that was him. And he can handle it.
Yeah.
Usually can handle it. Sometimes when it's too much, so when it's too much, we know to cover for him or work with him.
Okay.
We never say fuck. He's drunk. Oh man, he's drunk. go help them. Although we're supposed to fight them.
Let's go make it through this.
No, what we probably usually do is set up a big bump so you can lay down for a minute.
Okay,
So,
that makes
so
sense. Actually, get him out the way.
yeah,
Let him
just
hit.
for a few minute, minute and a half, where he was getting shit together. Usually, when he's too drunk, it doesn't really like he might be too drunk, but then he'll pull it together. It wasn't like he gets too drunk and forgets where he's at. He gets too drunk and goes, I don't want to do that spot. Well, fuck, what spot you want to do? You whatever. There's so much. We should have had microphones on us because, like, so much direction would give each other. Like we talk to each other out there almost a whole fucking conversation, but under our breath. I know sometimes they hurt us, but if they hurt us every time, there's a lot of times that, like when I had my hair was good, and from I would talk to guys. No one would see my mouth moving.
So I've heard of guys going into a match where they've planned it all out, or they call it in the ring. Are you a call it in the ring kind of guy then?
I'm a better call in the ring. Because, well, planned the matches come out better, I guess, but they're not that much fun. And calling in the ring can only do that with someone who's capable, or at least will have their ear open, good on their feet. They might not know what to do, but if you tell them what to do, now they do. And
Yeah.
so I like those matches better, but better matches are the ones you choreograph and everything works out good. But then they're not very fun because you're doing a script, you're doing what you have to do next instead of feeling it. When you feel it and it's right, all right, I'm gonna do that again sometime, and then you learn from that. But when you do it because it says to do it, you don't learn from that. You're doing it because it says to do it. Anyways, I like calling it on my feet, but choreograph it is better, I guess. Looks better. It's just
Okay.
no fun.
So it just depends on what kind of
But
match you're going
sometimes,
for.
sometimes everything shouldn't be. Most of the time, everything shouldn't be perfect. A lot of things. My best shit happened on accident when I come up with moves or even angles. I don't know if you know. This one time I was supposed to do a match with Rob, matter of respect match, and after the match he's supposed to shake my hand. So he went to shake my hand at the last second. I said, "Don't do it," and he pulled away, and that made him that day. And made him that made him that life. He was over ever since. And that last second call is what made him. If he would have shook hands, they would have booed. Fuck that. It was ECW. Fuck shaking hands, hitting. But he did that. Like he broke my heart. It looked like. And they said, "Motherfucker." But anyways, that made him. He became the arrogant over babyface in ECW.
So that
Anyways,
moment was what made the arrogant asshole Rob Van Dam that we all knew
yeah,
and loved.
and that wasn't called. Paulie said, "Don't do that." Because when I did that, I go, "Oh fuck." People went crazy, and I said, Paul's really mad. And I said, Paul, he goes, "Oh my god, like brilliant." I said, "Of course." But a second before that, I didn't know I was going to do that. I was going to shake his hand. At the last second, I said, "They're not going to like that. Don't do it." And it was good.
I
No,
got
like a lot of my stuff happened that way, and angles happen that way. They don't necessarily have to happen because of force. Go out and have a tag match, and then something happens, and you start a single match, a single war, or something don't happen next. So some matches don't have to have any meaning. It's pro wrestling. It's supposed to be. Now it's pro wrestling related acting. You know, it's not even pro wrestling no more. It's actors and stuntmen. Nothing against that. I would still do it if I could, but I wouldn't want to do it that way. But I would do it, I guess, sort of. No, I wouldn't. Who am I kidding? I wouldn't do it, but if you want to make a living at that type of, tell people you're a wrestler, that's the way you do it. You got to do it the way they say to do it. I thought they would make an exception when I went to WWE. I thought they'd make an exception, and no, they wouldn't budge. Do it the way
no.
we say, or hit the road.
So I'd say like one of the last um
Hey, brother.
big.
I'm sorry. I just got a message here from Mexico, and I still got to go to the gym in the morning. I got to go to the gym now and go to Mexico in the morning.
Let's
So
wrap it up.
ask me a couple more questions, and then I got to go. I'm sorry. Has
Okay,
it
I
been
got
30
two
minutes?
more.
Okay, all right.
Just about. I got two more
Okay,
questions.
okay, all
I
right.
wanted to ask about what happened with December to Dismember. Why were you taken out of that chamber?
Okay, that's a good one. That's hold on. Okay, they're sending me a message. Anyways, that's a good one. I had to do a promo with Stephanie McMahon, and she gave me a script. It was a couple pages, but she goes, "We're going to narrow it down to this one page here." It was a fucking paragraph of words like that. I couldn't even count them. I couldn't even say them, let alone count them. And she goes, "Here, look, I'll give you a few minutes to memorize." I was laughing. I'm being serious. I didn't say that to her. That's when like I laughed. I go, and then she turned around and walked away. And I looked at Paul Heyman. I go like that, and he pulled me aside. And go, "Dad, you gotta do this." I go, "I'm not gonna do this." They go, "No, you gotta do this." And then I go, "All right, I'll do it. I'll try." So I go. She goes, "Okay, go." And I go, "Boom, boom, 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 boom." Whatever it said, whatever it said. She goes, wait a minute. Sounds like you're reading." I go, "I am reading." I don't know. I've never heard of this shit. Or I would never say this shit without you forcing me to. She goes, "Try it again." I can't. She goes, "Memorize it." I can't do it. I don't think I should. She goes, "If I tell you to do it, you got to do it." I said, all right. I can't do it. And then, so I went to go do it and I was like reading it again. I said, "I just can't do it. How about I do this?" I said, I look at the thing and I rip it up and walk off the set. I walk back on and said, "How was that?" That was Sabu the Rebel, Sabu being himself, Sabu bucking the system, not going to be a typical WWE wrestler. You know what I mean? And she says, "No, do it again." I said, "Do that again or do your way again?" She goes, "Do my way again." I go, "All right, just a minute. I got something. I'll be right back." Boom, took off and didn't come back. So later that day or the next morning, she said she said some guys over said, "Yeah, you gotta do an angle." I didn't know it was for her. She said, we gotta do an angle." So a bunch of guys would go do it, and it was a thing where they break my arm. I didn't know what for. I had no idea. I didn't know it was taking me out of the match. Do the angle, break my arm, boom. Okay, and they said, "Okay." Then after we do that, the next that night they said, "All right, you got to go home in the morning." I go, "What?" They go, "Yeah, you got to go." And that was when the pay per view was the next morning. I said, "What about them?" They go, "No." I said, "Something got to be wrong." It's no, nothing's wrong. You got to go. It's all right, man. Fuck it. And I'm out thinking all the way to the airport. They're gonna say, "Wait,"
No.
and then so it looks like I no showed or took off or we missed an action. They sent me home, and I had no idea why I did that. Angle. I wouldn't have done it if it was taking me out. You kidding me? But it looks like I voluntarily knew they were doing that. I did not, did not. I thought at worst, I'd probably get a fine for not cutting the promo. At worst, because I thought, they hired me for a 20-year Sabu, not a body, not just somebody who can read a script and say words they tell me to say. You'd want Sabu to say words he would say, which is none. I don't say words, not really. So I thought I could get them to, say, "All right, do it your way and see what works." And if it doesn't work, you fire. Okay, I'll do it my way and see if it works. I guarantee it'll work. It was worked already, but they said, "No, do it our way or no way." We didn't. They go, "We don't hire talent, we develop it." They want to develop me into another type of wrestler or something. I'm like, why would you do that? I'm giving you my best right here. Like, well, I don't have no best at anything else. Well, no, why would you want to change? Other than, uh, I don't know. It's not good business, but they're supposed to be for good business. I thought,
Yeah.
I thought I could change their mind. I couldn't. They're just set up. Like even when I did a run in, they'll say, "Do this. What are you gonna do?" I don't know exactly. So I'd give them some bullshit. I'm gonna do this, that, and the other thing. When time for the run in came in, I went in, I ran out and did kind of what I wanted to do, what felt right. They go, "Oh, you fucked up." I said, "No, the agent." I said, "No, I didn't." They go, "You're supposed to do this." I go, "Yeah, I changed it." You're supposed to do that. I go, "Yeah, I changed it." "Don't do that again." And I go, "Why not?" They go, "Because it's not what we want. We want what you said you're gonna do, and you stick to it, so we know what you're doing." Or whatever they say to do, and me stick to it so they know what I'm doing. When I one time I jumped off the chair, gave a guy a kick in the corner. I didn't call it. I did it out because I just did it because I figured they go, "If you use a chair, you're getting disqualified." Yeah, but I said if I run, jump, boom, kick the guy, take the chair away, referee, no harm done. So they said nah. So I did it anyways. And then they said you can't jump off the chair anymore. I go, "Why not?" They go, "That's Jeff Hardy's spot." I said, Jeff Hardy spot. I said, I invented it. He said, not here, you didn't. So I wasn't. Whenever I did it, I got heat. So I stopped doing it. Like I go, I don't care if I get heat, but then eventually they started finding me and shit. I only did it a couple times, but like
Um,
my own moves I invented, I wasn't allowed to do. Even
which
the
you
table
think
shit.
those would be moves you'd be able to
Do
do?
the table. I had to ask them if I could do the table. Usually it was no. Someone else is going to do it. I was
It's
not.
insane.
You got to say your company. The guy invented it. Most people know that, and they should. If they don't, you should tell them. And I wasn't allowed to do my own gimmick. When other guys around me were like, I can't do the gimmick because they can't do it in the whole company. I was doing my gimmick, and the other guys were able to do my gimmick. Yeah, right in front of me, on me, against me. They're putting me
Uh,
through the table. Isn't that
it's a
bullshit?
shame.
I didn't like
I
it.
guess my last question will be related to your most recent, I guess, event in which was in AEW. Um, were there ever any plans for you to do more in that?
No,
Like, no,
no. I was in a lot of pain then. That was before I started working out. That was 2 years ago almost, or over a year. Anyway, I started working out uh, last year, August 23. This is 24. Yeah, so I've been working out a little over a year now. So I wasn't working out then, and I was real fragile, and I didn't really think I could. I knew they didn't think I could.
have you had any opportunities or talks about anything possibly?
No, no,
Fair enough.
no. I kind of know a reason why, but I'll fix it one of these days, eventually. But I'm not ready to negotiate because I don't know how I'm going to be yet. Unless they're going to guarantee me money now, then I would commit to them now. But anybody that came with me any money or offer that, I would say no, uh, unless you pay me now. Pay me now, then we'll talk.
Okay.
I'm not going to train all this shit for them, and then they go, we don't want to use it, or we don't want to do it, because it's still going to take about a year, probably for until I'm ready.
Okay.
I put on about 17, 18 pounds in the last year. I got to do that again this year. You know?
Get back up into ring shape.
Yeah, yeah, or better. Yeah, I want to be the best I was, at least physically. That's easy to do. Just wait until you get big enough. I have no reason not to go to the gym other than I hurt. I'm not paying, but if I can suck it up, like I'm trying, like I was going to suck it up earlier, now I don't want to go to the gym, but I still got to. If I have to suck it up and I go to the gym, it's not like before where I go when I feel good. I never feel good enough. If I wait until I felt good, I'd never go.
Before we get off here, is there any social medias or any place where we can get Sabu merch that you'd like to throw out there?
Pro wrestling tees and there's some other shit, but I can't think of it now. you know,
Okay. Um,
but pro wrestling
well, I
tees
just
is a good deal on the pro wrestling tees does a good deal on the t-shirts. And like if they ever wanted like ring stuff, I guess get over me somehow.
are you on, Instagram, X, all
Yeah,
that good
I'm
stuff?
on the real Sabu ECW on Instagram and the same on Twitter, I think, at the real Sabu.
Gotcha. I'll make sure to
The
link all
real
those.
Sabu ECW. Sorry, what?
Okay. I said I'll make sure to link all those. That way
Oh
everybody
yeah,
knows where to
please.
find it, make it
And
easy.
yeah, and if they wanted something, I can't think now, but I'm sure there's something. But if they really wanted something, just get over me.
I
I'm
just
sure that I'm sure there can be too many people who watch anything.
I'm I'm sure there are. I'm telling you, I'll probably go buy some merch.
Right on.
But I just want to say thank you, especially at such short notice. I'm glad we could get this together. I really
Right on.
appreciate it. You're the man.
I appreciate you thinking about me. All right. Thanks.